Hello, everybody. It's Stephen and Walter here for another episode of So Chatty. This is going to be part two of our freestanding lace and freestanding applique, FSL, FSA, how you do it, everything about that. But we'll come to that in a moment. First of all, let's take a look. Oh, yes, we are both in Walter shirts today. I'm always in a Walter shirt, and we're the boys in blue today. That was not planned. He came down here wearing that shirt. So
I
I
couldn't remember what you were wearing
Oh,
today.
well, first thing to go is your memory.
Yeah,
Really,
well,
at
you
your
should
age.
know.
But who are you? What are you doing? And what are we doing now? I don't really realize. I don't know. New people every day. Really. It's a bonus. Okay, enough to do about that. Let's take a look. All right, these are more blocks. You've been seeing it stage by stage. I have 12 blocks now done from Stephanie Stitch's uh, Cozy Star Quilt Sew Along. Now there's two more blocks to go, which I have to duplicate. There's two of every block, so she's been releasing two each week of the blocks. So next week is the last blocks to be released, and then the week after that, I guess we go into assembly. Now I'm really happy with the way this is turning out, and as long as I don't blow it, and at some point in time, I'm really seriously considering that this might be one I might actually, I don't know yet, but might enter into the Brooklyn Spring Fair next June. Um, I have to see what their requirements are or whatnot. And as I said, if I don't blow it, maybe we'll see. But I do like it, and my backing fabric came the other day, and I'll be showing that on the Idiot Quilter next Tuesday and talking all about that. In fact, I got a lot of fabric the other day because I got the backing fabric for this quilt, but then I got another 11 fabrics, all wide backs, 3 meters each, so 33 meters of fabric from a place in Mississauga, which is the city next door to Toronto to the west of it. And they had a great sale on. Thank you, Jan, for enabling me, and you know you did. Um, $750 later, but I'm well stocked up for backing fabrics now. So yeah, but all of that next week on the Idiot Quilter.
And didn't I help you choose these fabrics too?
These ones, what did you help me with those? Those were the ones that came from Berlin,
Yeah, I
from
know.
that
We
Lone
were
Star.
we were in there figuring out which ones to get.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes, you were a wonderful help, not. Yeah, he likes to take credit for it. Do you think there's a theme today? Blue, blue, blue. Well, blue is our favorite color, both of us. We both like blue. And actually, Stephanie likes blue too. So
Yeah.
we're a blue bunch. Yeah. So,
I think I like blue because it was a color my mother didn't like.
oh, well, there's a reason to pick a color.
My mother always said, blue's such a cold color. I don't like blue.
Now, what color did your mother like?
I think she liked browns and stuff.
Oh, well, I think my mother always was into the fall colors.
Yeah.
She liked the fall colors. Fall was her favorite season. So, yeah, well, mothers, they can be cold. So this is the Happy Halloween quilt. You've seen it in different stages, and this is now, it's finally done. It's not really a quilt, it is a wall hanging, because it's just too stiff to be a quilt. And of course, all those pieces are appliqued, and I talked about Kim McGowan at the Atlantic Coast Embroiderers Facebook group that she moderates, and she digitized all of these pictures from an Amy Bradley pattern, and she put a lot of work into this. And the end result, it looks okay, and it has nothing to do with Kim or anything. I ran into some problems because I got this bright idea that I should throw it on Lucy, and even though the quilting was built into each one of the little blocks that has a monster in it, you can see it in the background, I thought I would make it into an attic window style, and I needed to put a little bit of quilting, and you can see it's in there in the windowsill pieces. But from there was a few things else I should have done I didn't do. I had a little bit of a problem getting the binding on it because of those things. But I'm going to do, in fact, I have done a complete little video clip for next Tuesday's Idiot Quilter, showing you what my problems were with all of it. But as far as something that'll come out only at a certain part of the year, and it serves its purpose. It's just I'm very picky. about how things work. And yeah, and also I'm an idiot, so I should have thought about these things before I went ahead and did what I did, but I don't. So I'm an idiot. And this I'm very happy with. I just finished it this morning. By the way, the binding is not wonky. It's because I laid it on top of that carpet and it throws it all out when I should hang it to take pictures, but I really don't have an easy way to do that. I do have a stand, but it means I have to put the stand together. And that's a bit of a pain in the butt unless I'm doing several quilts at the same time. But anyways, this is the one that Stephanie was also doing. I was on with her for so long back a couple of weeks ago. This is the Tracy Perks pattern called In Pieces. She's got some really cool patterns, and they are all fast to do and very easy. If you can cut squares of fabric, and if you can make half square triangles, you can do one of her patterns with great results. This one I think would look great any time of the year in other colorways. I did it in Christmas.
How big is this thing?
It's actually bigger than it looks there in the picture. It's about 60 by 60.
Yeah, like to me, when you look at this, you almost look at it and think it's just a block, right?
Yeah.
But
well,
it's actually a big quilt.
Yeah, it's a big quilt. Yeah, it does look like just a block. But no, it's 60 by 60.
Yeah.
She didn't have any borders in the pattern for it. She didn't do borders. And I originally, when I was working on this, thought, well, I'm going to throw some borders on it. And you could, if you needed it to be bigger, you could throw a few borders on it. You could do a triple border, double border. You could do something with a flange kind of a deal. But I decided just to go ahead and just put the binding on it. And I think that's all you really need for this one, is that. Because it's just something, it's very modern in its style. And you can't really see it well in the picture, but I quilted it using a snowflake design. And Lucy was very cooperative. I quilted it yesterday, and I bound it this morning. And yeah, Lucy didn't give me any problems with this, so I guess she approved of this quilt. Because, she's a picky girl. Or like I like to say, she's a bit of a bitch.
Didn't somebody make a comment about you calling Lucy, like as if you were naming your machine?
Yeah, and the machine, Lucy came with her name already. APQS names their machines. And the particular model I got is actually called Lucy, and her name's right on the side of the machine. They also had, at one point, they had a George, they have a Millie.
And a Freddie.
And a Freddie.
And a Lenny.
And a Lenny, yeah. So they name them. It's something APQS does. So I never named it. And in fact, I don't name my machines. Like, I don't have a cute name for my sewing machines or my embroidery machines. I do have really cute names for them if they don't cooperate with me. Yeah, but that doesn't look like so good to put on the side of your machine. Effing bitch or whatever, or the C word. Conventional. But that kind of thing. But no, I don't name them. I know many people do.
So when he says Lucy, it's the actual name.
It's the actual name of the machine is Lucy. Yeah. Where you been, Lucy? What you do now, Lucy? Oh, Lucy. Anyways, okay. Lucy's also my alter ego. When I make mistakes, I go, oh, what, Ricky? What you do now, Lucy? Okay, moving right along. Walter is working on a shirt.
Yeah, but as typical me, as a Speedy Gonzalez that I am.
And it's the one with the Australian
fabric. I'm a little slow. Actually, I gotta get moving on it. I just don't.
What do you have left to do on it?
Well, I've got the sleeves in. That's
okay,
good.
That's good.
He
learned a new method that's working really
well. It's not probably a new method. It's probably a fairly common method, but it wasn't the way I was taught to do it. So I went online because I struggle with putting sleeves in all the time. And when I went online and looked at several other different techniques that people were doing, and I chose one that I thought seemed to make sense. And it works dandy for me. So I'm going to do that from now on.
And so basically what? You do a basting stitch?
I do a basting stitch that's just to the right of the seam allowance. And in the same stitch length as what I'm normally stitching the sleeve at. And then I left a bit of a tail on either end, and what you do is you pull the tail until it all wrinkles up a little bit, right, and spreads out the wrinkle evenly across where the cap of the sleeve is. And then
it's not really a wrinkle, it's a gather, right?
It's a gather, yeah, but actually it's a very mild gather, because I know the sleeves that in this shirt are a very there isn't a lot of easing that you have to do, but there's enough easing it causes me problems, and anything I hate is getting a tuck, even if it's a minor tuck. And so but it worked out perfectly. It made it so easy for me to sew the sleeve in. And I'm sure that lots of people that do garments probably say, yeah, I do that.
They know how to do that.
But the way I was taught was to feed it through the machine carefully and sort of like push it through so that the two would sort of ease together. And that's sort of apparently an advanced technique.
So when you were at your sew day with your garment sewer group, did you show that to
No, because
Brandon?
I haven't been there yet, right?
Oh, you've done that after the fact.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Actually, I did send a message to one of the ladies that was in my class, Gail, and mentioned it to her, and it described it and sent her a clip of the video, because when I was in a class with her, she was making a shirt for her husband, and she was really having a hard time easing the sleeve in, and she ended up with a really major tuck, and she goes, "Oh well, the fabric's busy enough, you won't notice."
Well, it's only for her husband. Like,
and
really,
I'm going,
yeah.
If it was me, I would have pulled it back out again.
Yeah. And if that was a shirt for me, I'm not accepting sloppy seconds.
Yeah, and I do have sometimes minor tucks in my sleeves, but now the one that I did now, it was so easy to put it in, and I didn't have any tucks. And I used to always not look forward to putting a sleeve in, and now I think I won't have any problem.
So someone's going to ask, what's the link? What's the name of the video on YouTube that you found this technique in?
Oh my goodness.
Well, you're going to have to send it to me, and I can put it in the show notes for you, because I'm going to get asked. I know that if I don't put it in. So
actually, I do have it.
What, you have it right handy?
Yeah, hang on.
I'll sing. Well, he's saying, no, I won't. No.
But that's, yeah.
Okay, well, can you just shuffle that off to me as an email, and then I will, before this goes up, I will put it in the show notes, and then everybody will have it. Because I know you're going to be asking about it, those of you that are garment sewers and may not know about this technique. Maybe you do, as Walter said, but I'll put it there anyways, because I know I'm going to get asked. For sure. You know how to send it as an email.
Yeah, I can send it to
you. Know what you're doing.
Waiting. Okay.
We'll see. Okay, there we go.
They're done.
Okay. Alrighty. So, anything else you want to say? You will be showing your shirt on.
Yeah, so then I'm putting in sleeves, and then I put in, I sewed up the sides and stuff. I have to put a collar on yet, and I have to do the hemming. And
hemming
put on the buttons.
Hemming and hawing. And the buttons. Okay, so you still have a lot to do.
Yeah, so actually, and I don't move too fast when I'm doing a shirt, so some people might be able, I mean, a professional seamstress can maybe go right through it, no problem, quick, super, and stuff, but I'm pretty pokey when it does this.
In so many ways. So are you planning to have it done before Saturday night?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it done, but I don't know. I have lots of other shirts I can.
We're going to my high school's 70th reunion. No, it wasn't 70 years ago when I graduated. It's when they built the school 70 years ago. It was almost 50 though. 48. Yeah, 48.
Geez, so I thought Henry was way older than that.
What? No, well, it was built in 1954.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How
Okay,
much
well, I
older?
guess it was pretty old.
I mean, you know what? You were looking at, figured there was a drawbridge on the front of it and a moat. I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I always kind of thought Henry was like a really old school.
well, it was the original Whitby District High School, is what it was called before it was Henry Street, but it was still the same place,
Oh, okay.
same building. And so, but it's the 70th anniversary of it, and it was built in 1954. So
Okay.
do the math. 70 years ago. Okay. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of old people there. At least the one, probably a lot of soft food too. I don't know. We'll know them all. They'll have canes and in wheelchairs. Oh well. Anyways, I was hoping we could both wear our Australian shirts that night,
Oh, I'll make a
but
plan
we'll
for
see.
you.
We'll see what happens. Okay, moving on then with announcements. Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen on Wednesdays. Links in the show notes. You know how it goes. All are welcome. Pop-up Sew Day. Yes, there's another one coming up really quick next Saturday, September the 14th. Starting at 8 a.m., but come whenever you want to. There will be a link in, not in, I don't know if I put it in these show notes this week. No, I don't think I have yet, but it will be in the show notes for Stephen and Walter Live on Sunday and on my blog and on Idiot Quilter next week, Monday and Tuesday. And on Monday, I will send out an email to all those for those of you that are on my mailing list. You'll have the link as well. And it's a double whammy this coming weekend because not only am I having a pop-up sew day on the Saturday, but on the next day, on Sunday, September the 15th, Russ of Quilt Meets World, he's doing his first, I don't know what he's going to call it, because he hasn't said yet what he's going to call it, but his sort of like a pop-up sew day. I'm sorry, I have that registered. It is patented to me. It's my intellectual thing. He
It's
can't.
a Russ's Sew Day.
It's a Russ's sew day. Yeah, so be sure to check his channel out. I don't think he's put up a link yet for that. And I believe it's going to be Zoom. I don't think he's going to do it as a YouTube live. He might. I don't know. That's all I know. So I'll be there for part of it anyways, if not for the whole thing. Depends again what time he ends, because of course we have Stephen Walter Live at 4 on Sunday afternoons. So yeah, can't be in two places at once. Okay, so lots of things coming up on the weekend then for you, for your sewing pleasure. Okay, speaking of that, fall retreat. The Idiot Quilter Fall 2024 retreat is on Saturday, October the 19th, and on Monday at 9 o'clock, I will release a video that talks all about it. What to expect, how it's organized, how you register. That's very key to it, because although it's a free event, I ask people to register in advance, and I explain that all in the video and why I do that. So watch for that. That will come out around 9 o'clock. Well, it is scheduled to come out because I've already done the video. It'll come out at 9 o'clock this coming Monday on my channel. Okay, which would make sense, because if I put it on somebody else's channel, it wouldn't make sense. Anyways, I digress. Okay, just before we get into FSA, which is Freestanding Applique, a little holdover from last week on the freestanding lace. And this is something that I created. It's not, it looks really big in this picture. It's about 4 inches square. Stephanie, actually, of Stephanie Stitches, you know, she has an embroidery machine now too, and she's gone down the rabbit hole, and she's making all kinds of things. And she showed us on the pop-up sew day this, her version of this. She did it in, the file comes from, I put it in the show notes. I think it's a Designs by Juju. And it has 2 files. One is to make it as a solid color, so no color changes. That's the faster one. Or the other version, it has color changes, and you can do them in any colors you want. And so I did mine, as you can see, in the color change method. And it's got a little hole at the top, so you could hang it from something if you wished. But they're really quite cute, I think. And they were on sale. I don't know if they still are, like $2.80 for the files, American, which is really cheap. Although freestanding lace, even when they're in regular price, are not that expensive. So, there's another thing you can do, and I think this would look great on the side of your sewing machine. You could probably attach a magnet to it, use it as a fridge magnet, put it inside a card for somebody, something a little special. Or you could even
stick it to your forehead.
Stick it to your forehead. Stick it up your no. You could even applique it to, say, a mug rug or quilt. You can do anything you want with it. We've gone over those ideas actually last week. Okay, just thought I'd show you that because it's cute. All right. So, what is FSA? Freestanding applique. What is it, Walter?
It's sort of like freestanding lace, only you've got a portion of it is cloth.
Yeah, it's
where you might have a big wide open space. They'll put a piece of cloth there to make it look a little bit more refined.
Yeah, and usually these pieces are made to be three-dimensional, like this. This is a little Halloween lantern, and so you can see all the way around. It is a combination, actually, of freestanding applique, because there is fabric in these pieces up here. There's fabric in the orange pieces, and there's fabric in the purple piece. But there's also a combination of embroidery on each of these and
aren't
freestanding lace.
These look like freestanding lace.
They are.
The ends, and then on this side.
Oh yeah, there's two.
Is this side? It's applique because the orange is material and the purple at the bottom is material, and there's black material on the top.
No one can see it when you're pointing at the back of it.
At the top, black, orange material, and purple. But then if you go on the side here,
that's freestanding lace.
Freestanding lace.
That whole section is free. And so this is made up of 4 pieces. And you'll notice there's some little bumpies on here. They are called buttonettes. And there's a little eyelet, and the machine actually is part of its sewing program to create those. And then you put it together by putting those buttonettes through the little eyelets, and that's what holds it all together. And yeah, now this is a lantern. You notice it has a base, and the base has a hole. And the idea is you put a little electric tea light. Don't use a candle. I know that seems obvious, but
I don't know. There are a lot of stupid people out there.
Yeah, really. I mean, I'm an idiot, but I'm not that much of an idiot. Okay. We'd be like one of those firework things.
It'll be like the burning schoolhouse.
That's what I was thinking of, the burning schoolhouse. Yeah. But, I have actually made about 4 of these. They're different in the pattern that I bought. It had 4 different designs in it, and they're various. A little squatty, a little bit bigger, and I put them out at Halloween as part of my Halloween decor, and they look really cool when you put some LED lights in them, or like I said, the little battery operated tea candle. Which reminds me, I need to go on Amazon and see if I can find electric tea candles that I can use a remote control with or put on a timer, because I really hate pulling out the little one and pushing the switch and putting it back in, because why? When you can get them to do it automatically. Really. Let's use technology, shall we? So, yeah, they are a lot of fun to make. Your end result, as you can see, the end result is very impressive. And the whole idea of these little buttonettes that hold it together is that when it comes to storing, you can pull them apart. But I don't recommend it. I put a little drop of glue that dries clear on all of them, so these ones can't come apart. And I do that for 2 reasons. One, I'm never going to take them apart, because why do I want to take them apart and put them back together again?
Actually, they can be fiddly and time consuming to put the things together.
Yeah, you're not going to do one of these in a night
or in a couple hours.
No, it's going to take you. This took me to create this, and I did a video, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Took me pretty much the whole part of a day, from about say 8 o'clock in the morning till about 4 in the afternoon, plus an hour or 2 the day before as well. And they also have to have some drying time, because you actually use water soluble stabilizer, with this. Okay, you don't use tear away or cut away because these have to be sheer, and that would add a layer that you can't see through. So the same kind of thing you use when we explain freestanding lace using water soluble, you use water soluble in this, and when you get each panel done, or when you get them all done, you submerge them in some warm water, swish them around for about 30 seconds until the water soluble stabilizer is gone. There will be residue left into it because you want these to be kind of stiff so that they don't fall over, because there's nothing in this. This is pretty stiff.
Yeah, it's all pretty much a combination of fabric and stitching.
Yeah, with it. So you don't have to lay there and go, bleh, you know, like kind of a thing. So you'd have to have the water soluble stabilizer.
And I mean, it does use a fair bit of thread when you're using it.
Yes.
But actually, you'd be surprised that it doesn't use more thread than it does.
Yeah. It's not like you're going to go through spools and spools of thread. Yeah, but it does. They take time. Each one of these panels took about 90 minutes to make. So, you know, you do the math. Plus, you've got thread changes. Now, this particular one was relatively fast because there's only 3 colors: black, orange, and purple. And you can do whatever you want to do with the colors, but that's what I chose. And I stuck pretty much, for the sake of the demo, that will come up in a bit, I pretty much stuck to what it told me to use in the instructions for it. But this is available on, this was an I think this was an OASD.
That probably was, yeah.
Yeah, with it. But all the sites have freestanding lace applique. You just do a search for them and you'll find them. But I want to show you some other examples of what we have done, because Walter's made them too. And we have made a whole little mini Halloween village that goes out every year. I have some elements of a Christmas village as well. Many of these freestanding lace things do tend to be a bit seasonal.
Yeah, like you did one that was like a gingerbread house.
Yeah.
And that looked really cool.
Actually, I did a couple of gingerbread houses with that. Those are part of my Christmas decorations. And I would show them to you, but they are in our crawl space with all the Christmas decorations.
Yeah, like I did a nutcracker once. It's really elaborate. And it's really neat too.
Yeah. In fact, I did one as well, so we have 2 nutcrackers. But I went around, we have a lot of these things sitting out in our house as decor. So I've done a little short video clip just showing you some of the things we have done. The real spectacular ones are the ones that we have done for Christmas. And as I said, they're buried. So come back in December when I get them all out, and I will be doing a video, as I do one every year. Or if you want, go way back to one of the, probably an Idiot Quilter episode back early last December. And you will find a video where I talked about all of my Christmas decorations, and I did feature the freestanding lace. And there's quite a few, and freestanding applique as well. Done a lot of those kind of things for that. But here's the video from the things that were most immediate that are up in our house year round. So I'm going to put that in here right now. So there's a lot of things you can do with freestanding lace in the 2-dimensional department, but what about the 3-dimensional department? And this is where it gets really interesting, because freestanding lace and freestanding applique are often done together to create objects that are 3-dimensional. It's really great around the holidays, around Christmas time, around Halloween. You can make some very interesting things. Now I'm just going to show you a few of the things that I have played with. If you want just some fun items for home decor or whatever, made this little retro 1950s style rocket, I guess, spaceship, whatever you call. Lots of fun. Now they do take a while because you put them together in pieces, and you'll notice there's these little eyelets and buttonholes, or buttonettes they call them, and that's how you put them together. You don't need to glue them, although what I often do is put a little drop of glue on the end of each one of these, a clear fabric glue, and that just holds them together better. But if you want to collapse them so that you can store them off season, then you don't want to put glue on those. Here's another one, just fun, a retro truck. And again, you can get a lot of these different kinds of things. This one's a little out of shape because I squished it. But fun. And I decided to put in the back some little hay bundles as well, which I made on my 3D printer and just put them into the back of the truck. Now, talking about other three-dimensional home decor, many of these will have I don't see if you're seeing the top of it, put it up here. Many of these 3D things can hold tea lights, flameless ones, of course. And this one has a battery operated one. It's not on right now, but it's the light in the lighthouse. And it looks kind of nice when your room's a little bit dimmed in its lighting. It adds a little glow to it. And this one has organza. Yes, you can embroider on organza, and that's oftentimes if there's some windows in an object and it's been designed in such a way to have light shining through it, they will instruct you to use organza or mylar with them. Okay, so let's look at a few other examples. So we're talking about seasonal. Now I wish I could get out my Christmas things because I make a lot of things for Christmas decor, and they are in my crawl space. And to be honest, I'm not going under there. I go under there once a year to dig out all my Christmas decorations and then again to put them all away. So I'm not going to dig under there, but here are some examples, and we're going to take a look in a moment on where you buy these designs and what the variety is that you can get. This is a pumpkin. You could use it for Halloween, or I like to put it out a couple of weeks before Halloween. I have several of these, and just adds a sort of a nice fall decor. These are great for centerpieces on tables as well, or on end tables. And again, they are designed hole in the bottom, so you can put in a little tea light. And I like to put in some remote control tea lights, or even what do you call them? LED. That's the one I want. LED lights. And you can buy some on Amazon that have a timer on them, so you don't have to worry about flicking them on every evening or whatever, and they'll turn themselves on for a few hours and turn themselves off after that time period. Now, speaking of things that light up, I also have these, and these are meant for Halloween, but they're a lot of fun. They are little lanterns. A little tea light, as I've said before, goes inside them, and they light up and look really nice. Now, these don't have a clear window, but the fabric is such that with a bright enough light in them, it does set off a nice ambient glow to them. And you can see there's, for this one, the Halloween, and you pick fabric that will give you that Halloween look. And again, you can see here a mixture of freestanding lace in this panel and then freestanding applique built into it. And as I said, many of these kind of things are designed in that way. Now, let's take a look, though, at some of the more elaborate pieces you can make. And this is just a small example. This, of course, is a haunted house. And you can see the detail that's involved in this. And you probably understand now why I put a little drop of glue on the buttonettes to hold it together, because I don't want to have to put this all back together every year when I get it out. It does create a bit of a storage problem because, they're a bit bulky, but they are a lot of fun. Now, the thing is, when you make these too, you got to give yourself lots of time. Don't get the idea that you've decided the night before Halloween that you want to put up something and you're going to make this the day before. You're not going to make it in one day. It's going to take you a long time. They'll take several days to make. But they're fun, a lot of fun to make, as you will see in our series. And then you can get some really big ones like this. Very involved. Looks difficult to do. They are not difficult, but as I said, they are time consuming. They all come with instructions that take you piece by piece through. There are multiple files that you need to stitch out on your embroidery machine, But you know, the end result is really worth it. So that's just a few examples of freestanding lace and freestanding applique projects that you can make with your embroidery machine. And so we're going to take a closer look at how you go about doing this kind of thing. Okay, you're probably wondering, well, where do you get these? Same place you get the freestanding lace. OESD, Scissor Tails, Designs by Juju, Sweepy Designs, any of them will have them. So it pays to shop around. And right now, I've noticed in the last week, they've been having a lot of sales, all of them. And they usually do. As we get closer to the Christmas months, there will be more and more sales coming up where you can get 25 to 60%. I just saw this Creative Kiwi. Now, Creative Kiwi is one that doesn't have a lot of freestanding lace or freestanding applique designs. But they have some. But they've got stuff on right now for 60% off. I think everything on their site is 60% off. So it pays to shop around.
Yeah, and it pays to for you to, if you do see something online that you think you'd like to have, and you watch out for a sale, and then you can buy it at that point in time.
That's what we often do. Because some of these, the more elaborate freestanding applique ones, like I was talking about the Christmas Village, for a one building, in that on OESD, it's like $41 Canadian. But if you get it for 50% or 60% off at one time, well, that's when to buy it. You can buy the whole, you saw it last week, I showed you the whole Christmas Village, and it's on sale. It's only $880, and you will take you many, many Christmases before you got all those done with it. But anyways, they're there. Okay, so I thought I'd just show you some examples. I'm dropping my pen. I did a little video clip here I'm going to insert just showing how to buy them, or what's available, what is available. So there's quite a variety of projects you can get that involve freestanding lace and freestanding applique, as I've already shown you some of the things that I have done in the past. And as I said, I love doing them, but they are time consuming and they can be a little pricey as well, as you're going to find out. One of the sources I go to pick up my freestanding applique and freestanding lace projects comes from OESD. They have quite a variety to choose from. Now, here's one page that's showing you just in general the different kinds of things that are available. The freestanding barn, that's really cute, and it's on sale right now. And they often put these on sale and at a really good price, especially when we get into the fall months. The Christmas items will start to go on for like 50%, even 60% off. So you might want to watch for those kind of sales, and you can be notified about those sales if you get their newsletter. I have made these two items that are here. The freestanding angel was really beautiful when I got it done, and so was the Santa's sleigh with the reindeer. I bring those out at Christmas time every year, and you will see them again this year when I get out my Christmas decorations in December. Right now, as I said before, everything is buried in my crawl space, and I only go in there when I absolutely have to go in there. But here's something I have not made before. These freestanding applique masks, which look like they're kind of fun. There's an owl, there's a cat, and there's the more standard kind of masks as well. Bowls. I have made one of these, and I forgot to show it to you, but I have made one of these, and they're kind of fun to do as well. And freestanding doghouse. Okay, not meant to be for a dog, but there's a spot for you to put in a picture of your dog, something a little different that you can put on display. And there's, of course, all kinds of Christmas tree ornaments that you can make as well. And there are pages of these. But let's look again at some other more specific seasonal kinds of items. Easter, lots of things for that. Cute little Easter basket. That would be a lot of fun. Fill up with eggs to give to kids in your family. Freestanding Easter eggs as well. And of course, there are some things that have to do with the religious part of the season as well, as you can see. Going down a little further on the page, more eggs. There's also in the hoop zipper pouches and things like that. They technically are not freestanding applique, but they are available. And there are pages of these. The ones that I really like the best, though, of course, are for Halloween and Christmas. So here we have Halloween, and you've seen some of these. A couple of these haunted houses I have made. Now you can see they can be quite pricey when they're not on sale. However, I really like this one, and I'm going to wait till the sale comes up because I'd really like to make this one to add to my collection. Of course, you can buy, if you don't want them individually, you want the whole set, as in this case. Well, expensive, $209.84. I believe that's in Canadian prices. I think, yes, it is. I've got it set up for Canadian prices, so for Americans, it would be considerably cheaper. But in this one, you have basically 4 houses, which is, it says it's a complete collection. There are 6 haunted village. All 6 haunted village collections in one convenient bundle. So you get 6. They're just showing 4 here. Yeah, actually, this little cabin thing would be fun to do as well. You can buy these, though, all separately, too. So let's see. Let's go back. And, yeah, the manor, you can buy that separate. I'm not seeing the little cabin. 3 other results. Let's just go here. Nope. Not showing the little cabin. So I wonder why. Usually you can buy those separately. But anyways, we won't worry about that. And then, of course, the one that everybody loves is Christmas. And they have so many different designs. You can... Oh, sorry, it went back there. Let's go back. Okay. Lost that. What happened here? I hit a button I shouldn't have hit. There we go. Okay, you can make an entire Christmas village, but it's pricey and very time consuming. And what a lot of people do is, because they add to this collection every year on OESD, they'll buy 1 or 2 of these each year to add to their collection. Now, if you don't want to wait, you want the whole collection, well, you can get the whole collection. This is the 2023 collection. You can see it's pricey, $662. Yeah, and that's going to take you a long time to create, but it might be fun. But you can buy the individual ones as well, so that's always nice. Now, this is just some of the things you can get, and this is just one site. Most embroidery sites have these kind of things on them, and you might find something a little different that you want to create. You just have to do a search for them. So I'm going to pick one. I don't know if I'm going to pick one from the Christmas collection, because to be quite honest, while I'm recording it's August, and as I said, they often have a sale on these things in another month or so, so I might wait for that. But we'll see if we can find maybe a smaller project that I can record to show you how you go about putting something like this together. Okay, so I did a video when I made this. Now, this is where you might want to pause the video, grab yourself a cup of coffee, because this next part will run about 30 minutes. Now, it took me a lot longer than 30 minutes to make the video, but what I did was I jumped ahead in certain stages, and I fast forwarded as well with a lovely little musical soundtrack, as you see the machine going all over the place. And that is my imitation of an embroidery machine doing freestanding applique. Okay.
You sound like Count Dracula.
Blah, blah. Might be going with the bat thing. Anyways, enjoy. This is how you do this. Oh, and a little extra bonus in the video. You might think that you're going to get away doing this kind of thing. It's going to be breezy. But you know that's not how we operate here. We show you our mistakes and our problems too, as well. And at one point, my machine made a huge bird's nest, pulled the thread down inside the machine, down around the bobbin, and I caught it just before it made the horrible noise that it can make when it does that. And the machine will usually stop at that point. And I show you what it looks like when something like that happens, but very easy to fix. And I talk all about that in the video as well. And I give you some suggestions on some tools you might want to invest in that help you with that kind of thing, makes your life a little easier. So that's halfway through the little video clip that I'm about to insert here now. All right, so I'm going to show you how to make a freestanding lace freestanding applique combination piece that creates a 3D object. In this case, these Halloween lanterns. Now I'm going to concentrate on the bat lantern. So we're going to turn the page to the instructions for that. And when you buy one of these designs, this comes from OESD, they usually have a PDF that you can download and print out that gives you all the instructions. So for this particular project, I need 4 pieces. I need 2 of this piece, 2 of this piece, and these 2 pieces are freestanding applique, so they take some fabric, and these 2 pieces are freestanding lace, and this will create the 4 sides of the lantern plus a base, because you will have to make a base as well for this, and I believe that's on this page, or maybe over another page. Yeah, here it is here. This is the base for the bat lantern as well. Okay, so in total, you've got 5 pieces that you're going to be creating. So it's a good idea to look over the pattern, and these ones are fairly simple, and figure out what you're going to use for fabric. Now this calls for 3 different colors of fabric. They want a black, they want an orange, and they want a purple. Now it looks pinky in here, but it is purple. And I have picked out my fabrics for this, and they're right here. Now I know on screen this one is coming up blue, but it's not. It is purple. And this is a black with a spider web, and this is a deeper orange as well. And I just went into my stash and pulled these out. I'm not that concerned that they have a pattern on them. I think that'll add a little bit of interest, but you could do them in absolutely plain fabric. It could be done all in like a grunge or something like that. It's totally up to you what you want to use. The other thing you need are the threads. And in this case, there's only 3 colors of thread. You'll need a basic black, and you'll need a purple, and you need an orange. And you can pick whatever color you like. They do have recommendations, but usually I don't necessarily go by their recommendations unless it's something that I kind of struggling with, especially patterns that have a lot of color. I will use it as a guide, but this one's fairly straightforward, so those 3 colors will do. The other thing I'm going to need is stabilizer, and I have already hooped up, and I know which hoop to use because when I called up the file on my embroidery machine, it told me I needed the 20B hoop for my 550E. It may vary for whatever type of machine you're using. And I have hooped up 2 layers to start with of water-soluble stabilizer. It is important that you use water-soluble stabilizer for this project because these are lanterns, and a little tea light that you'll put in the bottom, a little electric tea light, will shine through the thread and the fabric. So you don't want to put in something like a tearaway. You want water soluble. And I'm starting with 2 layers. I always start with 2 layers, regardless of what the pattern tells me. And a lot of times these patterns will say hoop up 1 layer of water soluble stabilizers, what I'm trying to say. And I find that's just not enough. Things pull and pucker. So I'll start with that, and if I see any pulling or puckering, I will float another 2 layers underneath my hoop at that point in time. So I'm going to go over to my embroidery machine. I'm going to set up my threads. I'm going to get my hoop attached, and I'll be back and show you what that looks like. Okay, so I have my stabilizer hooped. I have my threads loaded, and I've got my fabric ready. So here we go. The first thing it's going to do is do a outline for where the black fabric goes. So we'll start this up. And I'm going to watch this very carefully to see if I need to add any stabilizer. And I'm just looking at the quality of my stitches right now, and I think I'm going to add a couple more layers of water-soluble stabilizer. I'm going to float them under this hoop. So I'm going to do that right now. So I added another layer, 2 layers actually, of water-soluble stabilizer. I have floated it underneath my hoop. Might be overkill, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. I've put down my fabric so that it covers all the lines with a little extra over the edge on that placement stitch that we just saw. And now I'm going to do the tack down. And I'm doing the tack down in the same color as the fabric. Now, when this is done, and it'll probably go around twice because it wants to make sure it's very secure, and it is, then I'm going to take the hoop off the machine. I'm not going to take the hoop out of the frame. I'm just going to take it off the machine carefully, and I'm going to get my applique scissors, and I'm going to cut as close as I can get without cutting the stitch line all the way around that piece. Okay, so I've got my applique scissors right here, and I'm just going to very carefully go around and trim this fabric off close to that line. Now, if you gently pull on your fabric as you are cutting, it will naturally just follow that stitch line, which makes your job even that much easier. I kind of enjoy doing this, believe it or not, cutting the fabric away. Okay, there's my piece. There's an extra thread. I can cut that off. And now we can put this back on the machine and continue with the next step. And the next step is for an outline of the orange fabric, the placement for that. So now we'll stitch the placement line for the orange fabric. I'm still using black thread because at this point it really doesn't matter what color the thread is, because it's going to get covered up with the satin stitches that will be done later. And black might be easier to see on some of these fabrics in terms of trimming it. So it's going to call for the orange piece of fabric. So I need a piece of orange fabric, and I'm just going off the screen here for a second just to cut out a piece big enough. These kind of things are great projects for using up your scraps and things like that. And I just took it over to my pressing station and gave it a light press because the fabric was a little wrinkly. And this is the tack down stitch for this. Now, do you need to cut out your pieces of fabric in advance? Well, you could, but I just tend to grab the fabrics I want to use and cut as I go. But it's totally up to you what you're most comfortable with. But I do suggest that you at least organize the fabrics you're going to use in your project and organize your threads as well. It'll save you a little bit of time in the long run. Okay, so this is finished doing the tack down, and now I need to trim all the way around here. And this is the procedure we're going to be following for the next few pieces, and then we're going to get into and that's the freestanding applique part. Then we'll get into the satin stitches and the freestanding lace part of this particular piece. So I'll come back when we get there. Now we've come to the part where we're going to start doing some of the embroidery stitching. This is a very simple pattern. It only has 3 pieces of fabric, and those are all in their place, as you can see right now. And now we're going to do what they call the cover stitch and in detail stitches on the orange piece. So I've got my machine set up with my orange thread this time, and away we go. Now you'll notice that there is a tail here on the thread, so you want to just stop your machine and get a hold of that tail. If I can find it here, it is here somewhere. There it is. And trim it off. Otherwise, it could get tangled up in some of your other stitches. And also, you hear a little clack clack at the beginning of this. That is just simply my bobbin engaging with the top thread, and it pulls it a little bit. Nothing to worry about if your machine makes that sound as well. The Janome kind of makes that sound when it happens. Nothing to get panicky about. So drop the foot and carry on. Now, I'm pretty much sticking to the colors that they recommend in the pattern, but there's nothing saying I could mix them up. I could have done this in a purple, but for the sake of the demonstration, I am just sticking very close to what's in the pattern itself. Now, you might wonder how long this is going to take. Well, it's going to take a while. The shortest part of it is now done. Now all the embroidery is going to take in total another 55 minutes, it says, according to my machine. Now I have my machine set at the slowest speed. I could put it up to the highest speed and it would basically cut that time in half, but I feel more comfortable running my machine at a slower speed just from past experience where things have gone terribly wrong. But it's all up to you, and if you know your machine, you know what the machine is capable of. So I'm going to let this run for a bit, and I'll probably speed this piece up for you as well, because this is going to take a while to do this particular piece. Okay, so now it's finished all the orange piece part of the embroidery, and it's going to move into the purple part down in here. But I want to point out a couple of things to you. See these little pieces right here on the side? This is called a buttonette, and this is an eyelet. And these are what are used to hold the pieces together. And there'll be more of these created in the purple and in the black piece as well. And I will show you when we have all the pieces created how we assemble everything. But for now, let's get into the purple. And again, we're just going to trim the thread, get the right one. This is the one I want. Continue. Now I have a little piece up here, but I'll worry about that afterwards. It may get buried in the stitching that happens along here, and if it doesn't, I'll just trim it off then. But do not trim things while your needle is going up and down, because that's a recipe for disaster. So I'll let this go for a little while. So the purple is all done, and now the last part is all the black, which will outline this top piece and come down here, put in a design in the top of this on the orange, and then it's going to put the bat in here as well. And it's the last color change we need to do for this piece, and this is going to take another 30 minutes to complete. And we'll remove that little thread and carry on. Okay, so we have completed this piece, as you can see, and you notice on the sides we have the buttonettes and the eyelets, which I will show you how those work when we get the other pieces done. So we need a second one that looks like this, and then we need to create two pieces that are completely done in freestanding lace. So that's what I'm going to work on next, is the freestanding lace part. So I have popped this piece out of my hoop, and I just need to trim away some of the water-soluble stabilizer. Now you'd want to be careful when you're doing this that you don't cut into any of your pieces, so leave a generous allowance of stabilizer all the way around this piece. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to take this piece and I am going to submerge it in the bathroom sink for about 30 seconds. I'm going to take it and swirl it around so all of this will disappear, and then I will blot it between two layers of paper towels. Maybe give it a gentle press between those layers of paper towel with my steam iron, and then leave it flat to dry. And so that means now we need, as I said before, I'll need another one of these, and then I have to make my freestanding lace piece, which, according to our instructions, is this piece here, and this is all thread. So I'm going to hoop up 4 layers of water-soluble stabilizer for this. I'm using the same threads as I used here, black, orange, and purple, and I'm going to stitch this out, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I have started the next piece, and this is the one that's completely freestanding lace, and first color was orange, and it told me that in my embroidery machine. So that's what I'm doing now. Now this takes quite a long time for this piece, because according to my machine, it takes about 87 minutes to complete this piece, and we do need 2 of these. So I'm going to let you watch this for a few seconds here, and then I'm going to speed up the process and come back to it periodically just so you can see the progression. So I want to show you a problem, and this is a common occurrence. Remember back last week I mentioned that before you start one of these projects you should make sure your machine is clean and that it is oiled, because there's a lot of stitches going through it when you do one of these FSA or FSL projects. Well, here's a problem that I have, and I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but I got a giant bird's nest and it pulled the thread down inside the machine. So when this happens, don't panic. Stop your machine. You will hear it. It will make a noise, and it's best if you can stop it before the machine stops itself. Pull out the bobbin, get rid of that extra hair and fiber, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this bobbin because it's getting low, but I'm going to clean this out first, and I'm not going to show you how to do that because we have a video about cleaning out your machine. But essentially I'm going to take off this plate, I'm going to pull the bobbin, I'm going to dust out all the any lint and things that are in there, I'm going to give it a couple of drops of oil, set it back up, and restart. Now, how did this affect my piece? Well, let's see if I can get it in here in the shot. So if you can see here, I have a little, this is where it pulled it, but that's not going to wreck anything because that's on the back side and no one's going to see the back side when this is put together. If it was going to bother me, I could shave that down a little bit with my scissors and that would be fine. So I'm going to pull this out. What I'm going to show you a handy little tool. This little tool right here with the hook. That's very, very sharp, and it lets you get underneath your hoop because it pulled down the hoop and I couldn't release the hoop because of that, because of the tension. So I just slide this under and just saw away the threads. And you do it carefully so you don't puncture a hole in your stabilizer or in your fabric, and it releases it. So these are really good to get, and you can find these little scalpel, they're a type of seam ripper actually, on Amazon. Okay, so I'm going to clean up everything and I will resume. Okay, I've cleaned my machine up. I've got everything reset. I did have to turn off the machine and I've turned it back on, but it remembers where it left off, so it will carry on where we had the little problem a moment ago. So here we go. And I don't know if you noticed it or not, but it sounds much better. And that's the indication that I need to give it some oil. And don't be surprised that you have to do that on a regular basis with one of these projects, because this total project is 34,000 stitches just on this little piece alone. So yeah, it's probably going to need some tender love and care as you work through this. But not a big deal, not a problem. And there I forgot to trim my thread and stop the machine. Clip it, continue. Okay, we'll let it carry on and finish this up. And now we start the next color, the purple, and it's working its way along the bottom, basically doing the same thing as what we did with the orange. So we're just letting it build the pattern as it goes. Okay, so now I have the FSL piece done. I need to make one more of these, and then I will have 4 FSA pieces, 4 FSL, and I'll need to make a bottom piece. And then I can put all 5 pieces together to create the finished lantern. So I will come back and show you how to do that. So now it's time to assemble all the pieces. And so I've laid out the pieces that I need and my equipment. And this is a really easy process. It's a little fiddly, but if you have the right equipment, you can do it in no time flat. So you can see I have my 4 sides. 2 of these are freestanding applique, 2 of these are freestanding lace. And I have a base, which I didn't show making, but you need the base as well. So what I have to do is take this base, right side down, and with the right side down of each one of these pieces, I am going to zigzag stitch across here. And I'm going to do this on all 4 pieces all the way around. Then I'm going to bring them up, and I'm going to use these little buttonettes and eyelets to put it all together. Now, I will show you that in a little bit more detail in a moment. But the other equipment I'm going to need for this are hemostats. Hemostats are basically clamps. You can buy them in any medical supply store. Usually surplus stores will have them as well. These are really good to have, and you'll see why in a moment. Some alligator clips, which you can pick up at, again, almost anywhere. Hardware store is good. Home Depot, places like that. And they just look like this, or you can get them on Amazon, and they're not very expensive. You can buy them from OESD directly, but they'll cost you a lot more money than these. So I recommend Amazon. You get a lot for very little. And optionally, if you don't intend to take everything apart for storage after you've had it on display for the season, you'll need a little bit of glue. And it can be any kind of glue you want. Elmer's white glue, whatever, will work. Something that dries clear. I happen to have this, which is a fabric glue if it's not all dried up. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take these pieces and this base over to my sewing machine. I've set it up with invisible thread. You can use a colored thread, like I could have used a purple in this, or could use a purple in this, but I want to make sure that you can't see the stitching at all. So I'm just going to use an invisible thread, and I'm going to do, as I said, a zigzag stitch across this opening, and do that with each piece all the way around, and I'll come back and show you what that looks like. So I have sewn the 4 side pieces to the base, And I used a zigzag stitch, and I used the invisible thread as well. So those are now all secure. So now all I have to do is bring them up and attach the sides. And that's where the buttonettes and the eyelets come in place. So you just take one side, and we're going to fold them over. And this is going to be very awkward on camera to show you. And then you take your hemostats. Now these little eyelets are going to be very, very tight. So what I like to do is take my stiletto and very carefully, because you don't want to rip these out, just stick it through and expand each eyelet just slightly bigger than it really is, because this will allow you to work your hemostats into each hole. So I'm just doing that here on these two pieces, and I'll show you how this goes together. Now you'll want to have your alligator clips close by as well, and you'll see why. So which ones did I just expand? Okay, I forgot which ones I expanded. I'll just do these again just to make sure. Again, you're just sort of stretching the stitches just a slight bit, just so it's going to make this a little easier to get into the hole. So I'm going to start with the first one down here, and I'm just working the hemostats. Oh, sorry, I've got the wrong hemostats. I'll be back. These are the hemostats I want. These are bent at an angle. They're alligator, so you can see they open up like that, and that's what makes it important. It's been a while since I've done one of these. That's why I've got my hemostats mixed up. This will go in much easier. And you just work it in so you can grab. I don't know if I'm showing this, but you see the buttonette? I'm grabbing that with these, and then I'm just going to gently work it through the loop. Now, slipped off on me. That is not unusual. This is a little fiddly, so don't be in a rush. If that's in the shot, like this. There we go. See, I've got it through the hole. Now, this is where the alligator clips come in, because as I'm working through all of these, I don't want them slipping out. So I just put an alligator clip right on the end of that, and that secures it. So I'll show you again on the next one. I just work it gently in, enough that I can open these up a slight bit. And then, I know this is not easy to get on camera. Oops, let go of it. You got to play around. There, opened that up a little, got it through the hole a little bit more. Okay, that one is in. Alligator clip. There we go. And this last one on the side. Now the top works slightly different. It's the same procedure, but I save it for the end once I get all four sides up. Okay, so I've got one side down, 7 more to go. Now when we come to the top, that's easy. You're just going to put that up there, but I like to leave it after I have all the sides done. So I'm going to go and finish all the sides and the top and show you what you do after that. Okay, so I have it all together right here, so I can take off these clips. Now this only took me about 5 minutes to assemble, but I've done it before. But like I said, don't rush it, because you don't want to rip apart any of these little eyelets or buttonettes. If by chance you do sort of rip one of the eyelets a little bit when you're putting the alligator clips through it,
you can just add a little glue. Pull it through and then put a little glue on it and you should be okay. All right, you may want to do a little shaping of this, but there it is. Now, there's a hole in the bottom on purpose, so you can put a little tea light in it. So that's what I'm going to do. There we go. Now, let's see if I turn off the light overhead. Should have a nice little glow to it. I'm just going to turn off my lights. Echo, lights off.
Okay.
And you can sort of see the glow in here. Not the greatest because the room in here isn't dark enough, but you know, and if I had a little brighter tea light, it would look great, but you get the idea. So, Alexa, lights on. Sorry, not Alexa. Got to get her name right. Echo, lights on.
Okay.
Gotta love those devices, don't you? So there you go. It's as easy as that. And this is essentially how all of them, no matter how big or how small, how all freestanding applique 3D objects work. It's pretty much the same way. You may have to do a little bit of sewing with a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine in some cases, but generally speaking, that's all there is to it. So now you have a whole new world opened up to you in FSA. And there are all kinds of really cool three-dimensional objects you can make. You might even want to attempt to make a Christmas village. That's a thought.
Okay, so I hope you found that interesting. So now we just want to talk about some of the things, like some tips, tricks, things we like, things we don't like. So what do you like about doing freestanding applique?
I think it's just kind of fun.
It is.
I kind of like doing it. It's kind of neat as it comes together.
Yeah. It's what I like about freestanding applique is it's three-dimensional and it seems to be something you are making that you have a purpose for. I mean, freestanding lace on its own, you know, like the little sewing machine I showed you and that kind of thing. Well, they're cute, but what do you do with them? I mean, I gave suggestions. Whereas when you're making something like this, you can put it out on display. It's not flat. And you know, you can build it into your home decor, you can build it into your seasonal decor. And that's what I like about them.
Plus, they're pretty unique. It's not like you can buy something like that in the store.
No, that's true.
And if you could buy something like that in the store, you're probably paying an arm and a leg for it.
Now, they do take time, as we've already said. And in the video, I did mention to you about having your fabrics organized before you start sewing. That'll save you some time organizing your threads as well. Again, those are all things that will save you time because they take so much time to do.
I think it was more depending on how many color changes you have or something. Like there's, like when I said I did this freestanding lace nutcracker, it had a lot of different colors in it, and I had to change the threads a lot.
And don't think you can just do it and walk away and do something else. Well, you can, but because depending on how many thread changes there's going to be, you're going to be pretty much anchored. At least I find I am. I'm pretty much anchored to my machine. You also might want to slow the speed of your machine down, and if you're like Walter and you operate at the speed of sound, you might want to drop it down a little bit because you could have a problem. Not saying you will.
You might get more bird's nests. Though, mind you, when I did a few, I only rarely had a problem with the bird's nest.
Well, that's because you're special. But yeah, whatever. Well, I only had the one doing this whole thing, and I told you how long this took me to do. I only had the one incident. And actually, when that incident happened, I knew something was going to happen before it happened. And I said to myself, you should turn off your machine and you should clean it out and give it some oil, because I could hear it. I could hear this sound that it makes.
Didn't
I can't
look quite right.
Yeah, it doesn't sound quite right. I went, okay, because you're going to, it's a lot of hours. So I think one of the things I said in the video too is in part of your preparation, clean your machine. You may want to put in a new needle at that point and oil it before you get started on this.
Yeah, because the freestanding lace does actually do a lot of very dense stitching. So, or the freestanding applique. So a new needle would be beneficial, making sure it's nice and sharp for it to go through the layers.
Yeah, and don't cheap out on the needles because needles are cheap. I mean, really. But it'll just save you a heartache. But I could hear it, and I thought, I was going to say, well, after I do this little piece here, I'll say, well, no, the machine decided on its own that, no, you need to give me some tender, loving care right now. And so I did, and it was fine.
Because the other problem with the bird's nest is sometimes if you catch it fast enough, sometimes, or if the machine shuts off fast enough, it's not gonna, you can fix it, right? But occasionally it goes far enough that it will pull it out of the hoop.
Yes, and then
you can't realign it again. You have to start all again from the beginning.
Yeah, so it's worth, an ounce of prevention, or however that saying goes. Other things about it. Okay, stabilizer. A lot of times these instructions will tell you hoop a piece of water-soluble stabilizer. Not one. Don't use one. I don't care what the instructions tell you. Minimum 2. And I think I talked about that at the beginning of that video where I said I initially hooped 2 layers of water-soluble stabilizer, but I watched my initial stitching and it looked like it was pulling a little bit. So I stopped the machine, I hit my thread cutter on it, and I took another 2 layers of stabilizer and slid them under. I floated them under the hoop and then just resumed. Yeah,
anytime I've done those things, maybe it was overkill on my part, but I always used 4 layers to stabilize.
Yeah. It's just safer. And even, I would even say, for the sake of the demo, I started with 2, but I knew I was going to need 4 before I even went to it. And I don't even think about it anymore. I just automatically put 4 layers of water soluble because you've got a lot of stitches on these things. And
now, what you can do, if you're real cheap with the stuff like your thing, you hoop 2 pieces, right? But in between the 2 layers of the 2 pieces, you can put a smaller piece of stabilizer.
Yeah, you can put in a smaller piece if you want. Or even if you save your scraps, you could put in a layer of scraps overlapping each other and then put it between a solid piece, on the top.
Yeah, but I recommend putting it between 2 solid pieces because sometimes the scraps can fold back if you try and hoop them. And
that'll cause you.
It can cause you grief, right?
Yeah, with that. When you are after you've taken away the stabilizer, okay, and don't throw it into your washing machine to do this part of it, because what will come out will be a thread mess. Ask me how I know. You'll be tempted, well, that's just faster. I'll just let it like that, and then I'll dry it. I'll let it dry in the dryer. No. Don't do that. Fill a basin or a little pan with some warm water. Put it in there. I count to 30, and then I swish it around a few seconds, and I take it out. And then I blot it, as you saw in the video. I blot it between a couple of layers of paper towels, and I will, if my iron is on and it's hot, I will press it between the layers just to flatten it out a little bit, and then I take it off the paper towel. Don't let it dry
right away, because if you let it dry on paper towel, the paper towel will stick to it.
Stick to it because it's glue. You're dealing with glue, and you won't be happy. Now you can get rid of, if that happens to you, you can just have to re-immerse it, swish around, the paper towel will come off it. But there you're doing it again, right? And I just lay it on. Well, on the video you saw that I laid it flat on my, I think I put that in the video, I may not have. But what I do is I have a wool mat, right? A pressing mat. I just lay it on the wool mat and let it dry, air dry. and I leave it to air dry for at least an hour. They usually don't take long if you've blotted it first a little bit, but wait till it's totally dry, and then I'll just hit it with the iron a little bit just to flatten it out because it will curl a little bit. And then you saw the tools that I recommend when you're putting it together with the buttonettes. The alligator, they call them alligator hemostats, okay? Instead of the straight hemostats, the alligator ones open up. You saw it because I showed it in the video, open up like an alligator mouth, and they're easier to use those to grip the buttonettes and pull them through the eyelet. And you may have to slightly enlarge the eyelet opening. And you saw what I used. I used my stiletto or an awl. And you don't want to push too hard through it. You don't want to stretch it way out. You just want to give it a little bit of give because you can snap it.
Yeah.
If you push it through. And
I've done that.
Yeah, I've done that too. Usually you can fix that with a little glue, like you get it through.
But yeah,
but
you don't want to do that. It's good to enlarge it a little bit, but not so big that the little buttonette will just slide back out again.
Yeah, you want some resistance on that so that, you're kind of popping it through.
I've even, in weird situations, like sometimes if you've got them in an odd position where it's hard to get the hemostat in to pull it through, I have used something like an awl to pull it through as well.
Yeah, you could do that. And the alligator clips, and you saw them in there, those are a must. Especially in pieces that are very, very involved, where there's a lot more than what this one had in it for buttonets and eyelets. Those little alligator clips have teeth on them, and they will hold the buttonette after you've pulled it through the eyelet and keep it steady while you're pulling the other ones through.
Well, the other alternative you can use is a small safety pin. If you put it through.
Oh, I suppose you could.
And you can use that instead.
I like the alligator clips.
Actually, I don't like the alligator.
Well, now you have two options, okay? And as I said in the video, you can pick up a package of the alligator clips cheap on Amazon.
Yeah, you can use straight pins too, but then you
prick yourself.
You run the risk of pricking yourself.
Yeah, I would be a bloody mess all over it. Great on Halloween parts, though. It would look really realistic. Oh, look. How did you get it to look like there's dripping blood? It's mine. On there. Anyway, so two alternatives there, people. I like the alligator clips, but
yeah, do whatever you want to do.
Do whatever you want to do. Of course, they'll all do what you tell them to do now because, well, Walter would probably know more about it than he does. Don't listen to him. Listen to Walter. Walter won't steer you wrong. Yeah, whatever. Can you think of any other precautionary notes or things?
Like when you do the applique, make sure you have a pair of scissors that you can clip close to the edge of the stitching without going through the stitching.
Those would be called applique scissors.
Applique scissors.
Duck-billed scissors.
Or whatever scissors you like to use that work for you.
Yeah, I love the duck-bill scissors. I can get really close to the stitches without having to, without cutting stitches. And in the video you saw, I went through that and showed you how I use them and my little trick of tugging on the fabric as you're going through, and it'll make a nice clean cut.
Because if you don't clip it close enough, then sometimes the edges will peek through the stitching.
Satin stitch.
And that's not so bad if it's the same, if your satin stitch is the same color as the fabric. But occasionally your satin stitch is a different color than the fabric.
Yeah. And I mean, and I have done this, you can use your scissors, if that happens to you, to trim off the excess that's peeking out from the satin. But the problem is, if you accidentally, even one strand of the satin stitch, clip it, then it's all going to unravel. And ask me how I know, because I've done it. And you just, well, that's when you start to use all those bad words we're not supposed to use, and scream and shout and holler and kill anybody that walks into the room at that moment in time. So, yeah. Okay, I can't think of any other tips and tricks, except that it is a lot of fun. It is time consuming, but the end result is always worth it.
And plus, it's sort of like, I mean, if you've done like a lot of quilting or a lot of like sewing shirts and stuff like that, it's kind of a nice diversion.
Yeah, it's a nice break from, it's what I call a palate cleanser. okay, between major projects. And there's something else I just thought there to say about doing. Oh, if you've never done this kind of thing before, don't try to do a whole Santa's Village or Christmas Village the first time. Find something relatively simple with, only a few pieces. Like something like this is very easy to do because...
And it's easy to do for a beginner.
Yeah, it's easy to do for a beginner. But at least you'll get your feet wet and you'll figure out how to do all this stuff that's efficient for you and then expand on from that with it all.
I mean, it looks complicated, but it is actually much easier to do than you think.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that these designs, when you purchase them, will also come with instructions on how to put them together.
Yeah.
So you can follow those instructions, and they're worthwhile to follow and go step by step through them.
Yeah, especially the first or second time that you do it, follow the instructions. We've done them so many times. I only glance at the instructions just to see if they've got some kind of thing in there that I'm not prepared for. But 9 times out of 10, nope, it's the same procedure for all of them, no matter how complicated they are, how many pieces there's in it. They all work the same way. Okay, so anything else you want to say about that? No. Okay, so that's the end of our... This was a short-lived series. It was only 2 videos, the freestanding lace and freestanding applique. What would you like to see us do on So Chatty? Is there something else? We need some ideas. One person did send me an idea this past week. She wanted us to talk about rulers, like which ones we use the most and which, but I have kind of touched on that.
Actually, it might be worthwhile going over it again because people don't go back to your old videos and look at them, and
no, that's true.
Maybe it's a good for a repeat.
Yeah, well, maybe next week we'll do a thing about rulers.
Plus, I use sometimes different rulers.
Yeah, that's true. Well, of course you do. We don't want to do the same thing. No. We're not twinsies. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So maybe next week we'll talk about rulers then. With it and rulers and templates. I have a drawer full of them because I was a ruler slut when I first got into quilting. I bought every ruler there was, and my tastes have changed with it now. But so that might be worthwhile talking about. So we will. Whoever made that suggestion, we will about that. I did make the suggestion the other night while we were sitting under the deck drinking wine, and it may have been the wine talking. I'm not sure. But I kind of have this idea. I'd like to learn how to make a shirt. Now, I'm afraid to do this because this is totally different sewing than I've ever done before. I have made a sweatshirt with a serger and a pair of pajama pants when I took a class, and when I made an infinity scarf. About that. And at the time, I can't say as though I really enjoyed it, but that class was meant to show you how to use your serger. It wasn't really a garment sewing class. So I'd like to maybe try making one of these shirts. And Walter said he could show me, but the way we would do it, it's not a tutorial per se. What it will be is Walter helping me work my way through a pattern in bits and pieces, and him yelling at me that I shouldn't do it that way, and there'll be blood, and there'll be guts, and there'll be gore, and possibly tears, mine, with it all. So we're thinking about doing that, but that's going to take us a while to do because, shirts are involved with it. But I think my end result is, what do I end up with when I'm finished? And I'm hoping success. And if I can do it, then you can do it if you've never done one before. That's sort of an idea down the road. Not sure when we're going to start on it. I have to, pencil Walter in at various times because it depends on so many factors. The time he gets up, his mood, I can always tell.
Yeah, well, we could do sort of thing like, okay, today we do cut the damn thing out.
Yes.
And then the next day we do button bands.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a series over a period of several weeks. and that kind of thing. That's what we're thinking of. Let us know in the comments if you're interested. But I do want to reiterate that this is not like a sew along nor a tutorial in the sense. Yes, there'll be some things maybe you'll learn from it as I learn, but it's not going to be, okay, we're going to put this shirt together. Step one, you're going to do this, and then you're going to follow along. You might be able to follow along. You might not be able to. I don't know. It's not our point. Our point is not to really teach. It's to just, I don't know what the point is. The point is for me to see if I can learn, to see if an idiot can learn how to sew a garment.
I mean, it's not that complicated of a sewing. It's just that it is actually more time consuming than you expect, because a lot of people think, oh, well, how hard can it be? I cut out 5 pieces and sew them all together.
And I'll be honest, I'm not tired of quilting, but I need to extend my skill range. I think I need a challenge that goes beyond what I've already done in quilting and embroidery, all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're thinking, but we're open to others, so additional suggestions as well. So please, we need some more suggestions for this. Okay, so that's it for us today. Hope you enjoyed the video, and next week we'll talk about rulers and templates. Everything that you need to know and don't need to know about them. Okay, have a great week, and we'll see you all later. Say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye.